Jana Vallabha Jaya Girivaradhari Jaya Girivaradhari Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Nitya Lila Prashna Vishnupada Paramahamsa Parivrajagacharya Ashtottara Chadashri Srimati Divine Grace Ashok Krishna Bhakti Vedanta Swami Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki ISKCON and BB Reformed Acharya Savior of the whole world Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda ki Sri Shani Nitai Gaurang Jeev ki ISKCON Newton Dham ki Nitai Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanande. All glories to the assembly of the Hare Krishna, all glories to the assembly of the Hare Krishna, all glories to the assembly of the Hare Krishna. All glories, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Namo Vishnupada, Krishna Prashna, Bhutare Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Nitinamine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharane Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vasyatya Deshatarane. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Gaurachandraya. Om Ajnana Timirandhasya Jnana Janashalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Sri Gurum Sri Uttapadakamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavamcha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamsha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhana Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Bhavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaurabhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langhaite girin yat kripa tamam mande Shri Gurum Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Sri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Gaurachandraya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Daivim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet Nashta Prayeshva Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha. Hare Krishna. We're reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 11, Chapter 2, verses 11 and 12, right? Or 10 and 11, 11 and 12. 10 and 11, yeah. 9-11 would have been very disastrous. So I'll read the 10th verse and then I'll read we will together chant the 11th one. Sri Shuka Uvacha Rajannevam Krita Prashno Vasudevena Dhimata Pritastam Ahadev Varshir Harer Samsmarito Gunaihi. Shukadeva Goswami said, O king, Devarshi Narada was pleased by the questions of the highly intelligent Vasudeva because they suggested the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. They reminded Narada of Lord Krishna. Thus Narada replied to Vasudeva as follows, which is the verse we're going to read now. Sri Narada Uvacha. Is that the one she written? After all that, finally it turns to the previous verse. Okay, good. I must appreciate you for your handwriting. I can never get a straight line, leave alone write straight. Very well done, thank you. Sri Narada Uvacha Samyagetat Vyavasitam Bhavata Sattva-tarshabha Yat Prichase Bhagavatam Dharmam Stvam Vishwa Bhavanan. Sri Narada Uvacha Samyagetat Vyavasitam Bhavata Sattva-tarshabha Yat Prichase Bhagavatam Dharmam Stvam Vishwa Bhavanan. Sri Narada Uvacha Samyagetat Vyavasitam Bhavata Sattva-tarshabha Yat Prichase Bhagavatam Yat Prichase Bhagavatam Dharmam Stvam Vishwa Bhavanan. Someone else can repeat. Someone else?
Sri Narada Vacha
Thank you very much. Word by word synonyms translation. Purport by Divine Grace Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada's associates. Srila Prabhupada Bhakta Vrinda ki jai. Just got that right today. Sri Narada Uvacha. Narada Muni said, Samyak, correctly, etat, this, vyavasitam, determined, bhavata, by you, Sattva-tarshabha, O best of the Sattvata clan, yet, because, Prichase, you're asking about Bhagavatam, Dharman, duties towards the Supreme Lord. Tvam, you, Vishwabhavanan, which can purify the entire universe. Repeat after me the translation. Sri Narada said, O best of the Sattvatas, you have quite correctly asked about the eternal duty of the living entity toward the Supreme Lord. Such devotion service to the Lord is so potent that its performance can purify the entire universe. Just one sec, I have some Vyasasana induced points. You can just note them down. Did we read the translation? We did. Okay, well. Purport, can we listen to these wonderful offerings by Srila Prabhupada's associates? A similar statement was made by Sri Shukadeva Goswami in the first verse of the second canto when he congratulated Parikshit Maharaja for asking about Krishna. Variyan yeshate prashnaha kruto lokahitam nrupa atmavid samata pumsam shrotavyadeshu yah paraha. My dear king, your question is glorious because it is very beneficial to all kinds of people. The answer to this question is a prime subject matter for hearing, and it is approved by all transcendentalists. Similarly, Srila Sutta Goswami congratulated the inquiring sages of Naimisharanya in the following words: Munaya sadhu prishtoham bhavat bhirloka mangalam yat krita krishna samprashno yenatmasu prasidati. O sages, I have been justly questioned by you. Your questions are worthy because they relate to Lord Krishna and so are of relevance to the world's welfare. Only questions of this sort are capable of completely satisfying the self. Narada will now answer Vasudeva's inquiry about the process of devotion service. Later, at the end of the conversation, he will reply to Vasudeva's comments about Vasudeva's own faulty intentions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam, a verse in which a Bhagavata is glorifying the glorification of the Supreme Lord. And on Ekadashi, that too. So I was just wondering that I reached quite late last night, and the temptation was to, refuel myself, get myself well fit and organized, and then I will chant my rounds, the way the mind tells you. Then poof, Acharya Ratna Prabhu calls me and says, 8 o'clock you have to give class. So that helps, because maybe otherwise I would have been sleeping there. Now it's your turn. So, some very, very important aspects that we can bring out in this. I request your inspiration and blessings so that I may present it for the pleasure of the Guru Parampara, your pleasure, as per their purpose and for your pleasure, and of course for my purification. Narada is saying, Samyak etad vyavasitam. So this is of course the whole prasanga of Maharaj Nimi meeting the Navayogendras. And it comes in the form of question answer between Vasudeva and the great sage Narada Muni. And Vasudeva had presented so many wonderful questions. As you can see that Yatha vichitra vyasanat bhavadbir vishwato bhayat muche makhi anjasa vidvadha tatha na sadhi suvrita. You're always true to your vow. Please instruct me clearly so that by your mercy I may easily free myself from material existence, which is full of many dangers and keeps us constantly bound in fear. So this is typical of devotees of the Lord. they may know everything, but they would want to ask questions for the benefit of mankind. Whether it is Arjuna to Krishna or Krishna to Arjuna. Arjuna to Krishna on the battlefield of Kurukshetra and Krishna to Arjuna on the banks of Godavari in the form of Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Rai. Questions were posed about the purpose of life. So also did the questions posed by the Shaunaka the Rishis, the Naimisharanya Rishis to Sutta Goswami. They were also for Lokamangala. In one sense, we must understand that any conversation we should therefore have with each other, especially having come into the process of Krishna consciousness, should fundamentally be connected some way or other to Krishna. Otherwise, there is no point in having that conversation. Nirbandha Krishna Sambandhe. Sometimes even if there is no connection, we may have to force fit the conversation to connect it to Krishna. Srila Prabhupada was having a morning walk, he was going with the devotees and he was discussing about how Bankim Chandra Chattopadhyaya had written about the beauty of women. Some was saying about how long hair, beautiful eyes and all that stuff he was mentioning. So that this devotee said, Krishna also has beautiful eyes. So Prabhupada said, why are you bringing in Krishna into this conversation? and then he said, of course, it's a very good quality to see how we can connect everything to Krishna. And we can see so many other things. And in the Gita, you see all those conches that were blown by the kings. Although the names of the conches are not given, but the 18 mentions are there. So and so blew, so and so blew, so and so blew. So there are 18 of them. And there were so many kings whose names are mentioned. Yudha Manusha Vikranta, Satyakes Chaparajitaha. So many names that are being mentioned. Why? Why is there something called Ishanu Katha in Bhagvatam, one of the 10 subject matters? Why? Because it fundamentally pertains to Krishna. That's the point. In other words, only that which does not matter for a person who is interested in spirit, that which does not matter for a person interested in spirit will be the matter of Srimad Bhagavatam. You can quote me if you want. This is Rishi Kumar Samhita. So the subject matter of Srimad Bhagavatam is anything that is in the 4th canto. Srila Prabhupada mentioned that only Lord Krishna and his activities are reality. It's a very, very heavy statement. So only Lord Krishna and his activities or anything related to Krishna is reality. In other words, in any sense, you can actually say, Dhamna Sena Sada Nirasta Kohakam Satyam Param Dhimahi. That is why, Dhamna Sena Sada Nirasta Kohakam. Otherwise, if it had not been for Krishna, this whole world would have been just a play of Maya. For his pleasure, of course, but we would never have understood. So, because it is pertaining to Krishna, the topics are auspicious and transcendental. And because you perform activities for Krishna, it becomes welfare. Krishna himself says in the Gita, Nahi kalyana krit kaschit durgatim tata gacchati. If you perform an activity that is beneficial for the masses in general, for the general populace, then you will never fail. It will never be unbecoming of you to have done so. Because it pertains to Krishna. Because Krishna's is real. Krishna is real. Therefore, Krishna's is real. Krishna's means Krishna apostrophe S. Tadiya. Krishna's real and Krishna's Tadiya is real. Although we may have, it's a matter of the yuga we live in, that we have fruit juices called real and natural, which are neither real nor natural. So, but the world we live in therefore becomes real when it is connected to Krishna. Because Nara means people. Nara means community of human beings. Narayana means shelter of the community of the human beings or living entities. That is why it's called Narayana. Srimad Ramanujacharya gives this understanding. Narayana is that because he provides shelter to the human beings. And Vishishtadvaita is a very simple philosophy if you look at it in one sense. There is a Visheshana and there is a Visheshya. Something that defines something and something that gets defined. Like good mic. Good is the Visheshana, Visheshya is the mic. Similarly, the Narayana is the Visheshya. This world is Visheshana. And between them, there is a relationship that is Vishishta. So just like we have a body and a soul. Similarly, Srimad Narayana is the soul of the material universe. He is the soul of the material universe. So just imagine if there had been no soul, what happened to the material universe? Dead. So right from the moment he did Drishtipat through Shambhu, that when Mahavishnu Sekshata, when he looks at the material universe and impregnates with living entities, that glance is called Shambhu. And therefore Lord Shiva is Jagat Pita and Mother Durga is Jagan Mata, material nature. From then onwards, it is Lord Narayana alone who adds life to the life that we see around us. It becomes life because of Lord Narayana's intervention, so to say. Krishna, I mean, who is Lord Narayana? Is Krishna's the expansion of the expansion of the expansion of the expansion of Lord Krishna. So then who gives life to Lord Narayana in that sense? Deeparchire vahita shandaram abhyupete, deepayate vivrata hetu samana dharma, yastadarge vahita vishnutaya vibhati govindamadi purusham tamahmachami. It is the first lamb that gives life to the second lamb, to the third, etc., etc. But the first lamb will remain the first lamb. That is Sarva Karana Karanam, Krishna. Therefore, because he is the cause, the first question that a human being should pose, and the Vedanta Sutra is very, very clear. It says, Athato Brahma Jijnasa. So any questions you ask should also be pertaining to Brahma Vastu. So questions, if any, we have to ask should be pertaining to the Brahma Vastu. Because God is good. I mentioned this earlier also here probably. The Christians talk about, in the beginning was the Word was with God, and the Word was God. The Christians say that. And they also say, interestingly, I read this long back in one book that, you know why goodbye, they say, you know what goodbye stands for? It means God be with you. Because God is good. Therefore, like when we say, somebody sneezes, people say, God bless you. Or in ISKCON, I have heard devotees from the West saying, Krishna bless you. You know why? Momentarily the heart stops. So, when you say God's name, you remind Him, it is good. God is good. So, auspiciousness is bestowed by God. Therefore, when you perform devotion to God, that is also auspicious, which is why one of the defining characteristics of devotion service is Shubhada. Because it bestows auspiciousness. Bhuvana Mangala Tumi Bhuvanirapati. And that is why it is Mangala Arati. Because having darshan of the Supreme Lord bestows auspiciousness. Watching the Mangala Arati program itself bestows so much auspiciousness. Of course, the deliberate part of the morning program is the challenge. That is the japa part. When you don't depend on devotees, you have to depend on your effort to stay awake. Or the Bhagavatam class, where you mostly depend on your ability to stay awake and sometimes on the ability of the speaker to keep you awake. So, otherwise, the morning program is so potent and capable that it can take us along with us, just like you get in the metro. I don't know, Kolkata metro is like bacha compared to what we see in Delhi. You just have to stand there. They will take you inside and they'll take you out. You don't have to do anything. I'm just coming back from Mumbai for a short visit. I'd gone for sannyas ceremony of His Grace Kamalochan Prabhu, who became Bhakti Padma Saurabha Pracharaka Swami Maharaj ki. So, I have experience of working in Mumbai. So where she's sitting there is a first class compartment. And if I'm standing here, I will have to run from here to catch the compartment so that others don't take your place. And if you lost your place, you lost your place. Then look at you with derision. So what does that mean? It just means that by the association of devotees, the morning program itself bestows so much auspiciousness. Because Krishna is auspicious. And they make us realize the importance of auspiciousness when we chant. Just imagine the pujari. How many of you go to the altar regularly? I mean, you have no option other than that. Some of you go to the altar. Now just imagine you are in the altar, you're performing arati and there's no kirtan. It will be very, very odd. You see so many South Indian temples, they just chant the mantras and do this also. It's no big deal. But this is so potent that Bhagavat Vidhi and Pancharatra Vidhi going together. Without the kirtan, the deity worship has no meaning. Really speaking, it has, but you don't know whose form you are worshipping till you hear the name. In fact, one of the early questions in the Harinam initiation question paper is this. What is the importance of kirtan for the pujari when he is worshipping the deity? When I filled up my Harinam initiation questionnaire, this question was, I guess it's still there. I'm not sure its importance of. So coming back to this point, there are two important references given, and I have a few other references on this. How asking questions is so important. It's very important for me. I suddenly realized that my very first book in ISKCON was Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. And I realized that how that question is so beautifully explaining the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness in the form of questions. And one of my seniors in ISKCON Resolve asked those questions. Jai Shri Sunita Gauranga Bhagavan Ki Jai. One of my revered seniors in the ISKCON Resolve team, who is now Brahmatirtha Prabhu, asked those questions as Bob Cohen in Perfect Questions, Perfect Answers. And those questions are so lucid that they elicit pure answers from a pure devotee, Srila Prabhupada. So asking the right questions is very, very important. It pleases Krishna no end. And it pleases pure devotees. It is mentioned here how in the previous verse, Narada was pleased by the questions of the highly intelligent Vasudeva. Krita Prashna Vasudevena Dhimata. Dhimata means intelligent. One who's intelligent. Those of us who chant Gayatri mantras will see that this root about Dhima comes in many Gayatris. I'm not saying the full word also because I'm not supposed to. So this is one of the root bijas of Gayatri also, because the intelligence or the transcendental intelligence is very crucial for us to realize transcendental topics. And an intelligent Vasudeva asked those questions because it's mentioned here, because they suggested the transcendental qualities of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Pritastam aha devarshir hari samsmarito gunahi. Samsmaritaha means made to remember. So when we ask people questions, it should be such questions. And for me, it's case in point when I say this, because from the age of 8 till the age of say 21, no, not 21, till the age of 24, for about 16 years, I was a quizzer. How many of you have you done quizzing? Anybody here has done quizzing? Yeah. You're still a quizzer? Or? So, can you imagine the amount of nonsense that I knew? It's inconceivable. I could tell you the capitals of 165 countries of the world, the currencies of another 165, epithets, this, that, books and authors. I could identify paintings drawn by more than 120 painters of Europe. What is this? And also stuff about totally useless trivia, like what is the name of, what is a metal end of a shoelace? How will it take you back to Godhead? See. So that is why no utpadaya dyadiratim shramayavahi kevalam. No utpadaya dyadiratim. If you, through that, you're not able to develop taste for hearing Vishwakseno Katha, then it is shramayavahi kevalam. And Narad Muni is smiling because, please remember, and let me also remember this point, that anything that comes in Bhagavatam has to be auspicious. Even the so-called villains. They're not there for a reason. They're there eternally. They're part of Srimad Bhagavatam. Most auspicious. But they're related to the Supreme Lord. So, if it elicits a response that makes you remember Krishna, if it elicits a response that helps you inquire further about Krishna, it is most auspicious. And it further reminds you of the transcendental qualities of Krishna, as it is mentioned here. Samsmarehi. So, Hare Samsmarito Gunaihi. Remember the qualities of Krishna. And that is why, when we are chanting Hare Krishna mantra, we have to be extremely attentive, because the mind asks us a lot of questions when we are chanting japa. The mind asks us many questions, seemingly as if this is the most important thing in the world. But like we discussed earlier, just yesterday at the same time something else was important. And tomorrow at the same time something else will become important. But the mind asks you questions seemingly as if this is the most defining topic of your life. It will ask you questions. So when the mind asks you questions, if it does not result in Krishna's qualities being discussed, then those questions have to be ignored. And from the name will come the form, from the form will come the qualities, from the qualities will come the pastimes and attributes, from the attributes will come the entourage, the paraphernalia, etc. That's how Srila Prabhupada said. So for any question asked, I think for us, the simple beginning is, for any question asked by the mind, do we have the holy name as an answer? Or anything pertaining to Krishna as an answer? Forget other people asking us questions. Most of the time our mind asks us questions. Or sometimes tells you there's no question, just tells you what to do. So then, if the mind tells us something, then it is our duty to ask those questions which will make us remember Krishna. Back to the mind. If the mind throws us a thought, then we have to ask that question, is this useful for my Krishna consciousness? Like Hanuman got that necklace of pearls from Mother Sita. He bit into it. Looking for what? Sitaram in it. So are we in a position to seek Nitai Gauranga in each of our dealings, in each of our transactions, or not? Whenever the mind poses a question to us, we should be able to answer it in relation to Krishna. Whenever the mind poses just a thought, we should be able to pose a question to the mind, how is it related to Krishna? That is Krishna consciousness. Constantly finding opportunities to locate Krishna. And if not, seek Him out. The Bible says, seek and thou shalt find. So that is based on Vedic literature. Because Vedic literature is based on question and answer. Upanishada is what? Upanishad is coming close, getting close to the Guru and asking questions. Most of the Upanishads are in the forms of questions. Bhragurvairva runihi varunam pitaram upasasara adihi bhagavo brahmeti tasma etat provache. Ask him, who is Brahman? So it says, yato va imani bhutani jayante yena jatani. Prabhupada used to give the shloka. Yat prayanti abhisanti visham vishantiti. Then he says, he meditated, and then Punare eva Varunam Pitaram Upasasara, again went back to Varuna, and then asked him, so what is this? Adihi Bhagavo Brahmeti, who is Brahman? So similarly asked, Annam Brahmeti, Mano Brahmeti, Vijnanam Brahmeti, finally Anandam Brahmeti, and that's how the Upanishad say. This is the Taittiriya Upanishad, and this is taught in our Gurukul also. This is a Vaishnava Upanishad, effectively. This is very, very clearly mentioning about the Supreme Lord. So, question answers, or we know from how Nachiketa's famous questions come in the Upanishad, and that is also there. And how we know Gita Upanishad is all about questions. I think in Arjuna's 84 statements, significant amount is questions. A significant number of them are questions. Bhagavad Gita starts with a question. Srimad Bhagavatam, at least the live end of Srimad Bhagavatam is in the form of questions by the sages. The 6 important questions by the sages. And we see in Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita also how the Lord himself poses questions to Ramanand Rai. And then he asks whenever he says each of the points, Mahaprabhu would say, Iho bahya aage kaua. And finally when he says, Jnane prayasa mudapasa namanta eva. Jivan desan mukrita bhavati evarta. Sthane sthitam shrutikadhan tanuvan manobir. Ye prayasa ajita ajitopi sadais trilokyam. Jnane prayasam is what? In one sense, Jnane prayasam is about inquiries. Inquiring about anything that is futile. Udapasya, give it up. Give up those futile. So that is why Sarva Dharman Pariteja is that. Giving up all other forms of dharma, which kaitava dharma. It's similar to that. Jnana prayasam, giving up the jnana prayasam. And then what do you do? Jivan disan mukarita bhavati evarta. For any question you ask me, like, for some time I was a part of ISKCON Communications. Most of you would have gone through the IC course, ISKCON Communication course. One of the interesting things we do is, no matter what question, if you are a media person and you ask me, I will only tell you what I want to tell you. So what happened to this controversy that's happening in ISKCON Newton? So as you know, we have this wonderful temple that we're building in glorification of Srila Prabhupada. We're distributing so many meals every day. But that is fine. But I noticed that there is a market fall in the number of people who are visiting your temple. Could it be due to the fact that you have this sort of controversy? Very important question. But as I said, ISKCON has been the vanguard of spiritual revival. This is the way it is. When no matter what the mind poses as a question, no matter what any other situation comes as a question to you, take it back to Krishna. Take it to a Krishna conscious topic. That is the test of our Krishna consciousness. When you are left alone in your room with the mind, what does your mind gravitate towards? Something to introspect. Chances are that, but for most of us, the mind will give us opportunities to forget Krishna. Very good alternatives. It poses good questions. Like Radha Govind Swami Maharaj says, Bhakt ki pehchan hote hai 9 baje ke baad. Morning program, the deities take care, the devotees take care. 9 baje ke baad, nobody is watching. They say character is what you do when nobody is watching. Krishna consciousness is what we do when nobody is watching. And that is between us and the mind. And the mind will pose questions. And those questions will eventually be pleasing to us, like it was pleasing to Narada Muni, who is a Mahabhagavata, who is a pure soul. We are also fundamentally pure souls. It's just that we are contaminated. So what will be Yenatma Samprasidati is the question, which is mentioned here from the first canto, second chapter, 5th question. Yat krita Krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. Because it's pertaining to Krishna, one is genuinely pleased, one is happy. That is what will eventually, that is why do we say Savai Dharma, Savai Pumsam Paro Dharmo Yatho Bhakti Radhokshaja. Atho Ahaituki Apratihata Yayatma Suprasidati. That pleases, Suprasidati. That pleases a jiva because it is devotional service. It is performed unmotivated and uninterrupted or unrestricted. And so any question that helps us perform pure devotion service or makes us provide devotion service as a retort or a riposte or a response is acceptable, is welcome. Now, some other points that I wanted to mention. Yat prichase Bhagavatam dharmam stvam vishwa bhavanan. Bhagavatam dharman. Now this Bhagavatam dharman overall, suddenly it will not come to us. All our life we've been doing some kind of nonsense and suddenly Bhagavatam dharman will not come. Therefore, which sloka directly reminds you of this when you say dharman Bhagavatam? Kaumaram acharet prajno dharman Bhagavataniha. Durlabha manusham jana tadapya dhruvam artatam. Unless we have practiced or trained from childhood to actually look at situations and inquire where there is Krishna conscious element in it, we will not be able to do so as we grow older in our bodies. We won't grow, the bodies will grow old. But we would not be trained sufficiently to catch up with the need for Krishna consciousness. Just like the body needs 2 to 3 meals, not today, and say 2 baths. Similarly, there's a minimum. Abhi chamka, yeah. And similarly, the mind needs finite amount of sound vibration. It requires that much sound vibration. So otherwise, it will be lost. It doesn't know what to do. In the Harinam Chintamani, I think it is mentioned that there are only 2 things that are from the spiritual world. Of course, Krishna, but Krishna in the form of the holy name and the spiritual master. These 2 things. Everything else will make us have a disjointed perception of reality. A disjointed perception of reality. What we have as real will not be real. It will be temporarily real. And then the mind gets bewildered. Oh no, this is not what I wanted. There's something else. So, yenatma suprasidati. When will it finally get happy? It gets happy finally when it is pertaining to Krishna. And that can happen only if we are trained to do so from childhood. I remember I just saw some devotee the other day. I was when I was in Srida Mayapur or some place, I completely forgot. I think it's Srida Mayapur. So during Parikrama recently, or some other time, I can't recollect exactly, but this mother was trying to tell the kid, Bolo Jagannath, Baldev, Subhadra ki jai. And the kid is absolutely not interested. He's doing something else here there. But the mother is forcing him to come to that point. So the importance of samskaras, till the age of 5, they will balasta or krida sakta. After that, at least if we are not able to give them the consciousness of Krishna through various activities, like we have wonderful books that we have for children, Krishna conscious children. Prabhupada called them Vaikuntha children if they're devotee children. But even Jaya and Vijaya are from Vaikuntha. They forgot for 3 births. So he may be Vaikuntha children, but you still have to give them the samskaras for them to be revived. Otherwise, material energy is so strong that one can get into the wrong kind of association. Karanam gunasangosya sada sat vyoni janmasu. So before the association of the modes becomes strong, we should give them the guna of Krishna. Krishna is also full of gunas, his qualities. His qualities we should give, so that the qualities of the modes of material nature don't samsmarito gunaihi. His gunas are so much more important than sattvam rajastama, the guna prakriti sambhava. They are caused by prakriti. Nipadnanti mahabaho dehe dehanamabhyam. The living entity is bound by these 3 modes. Instead of those gunas, we should have samsmarito gunaihi, guna of Krishna that should be focused on. And so those questions are welcome. It is also mentioned, Variyata neshate prashnaha, kruto lokahitam nrupa. Because it is lokahitam. Whatever questions we ask should therefore be for the welfare of humanity. And again it is mentioned, lokamangalam, lokahitam. These are the words that are used. So our inquiry is not just for lokahitam, is atmahitam, atmamangalam. When we have a spirit of inquiry, athato brahma jijnasa, That jijnasa, that inquiry is also important. And elsewhere, this is a very important shloka, all of you know this, that the 10th canto, 2nd chapter, 16th verse, Vasudeva katha prashnaha purusham strin punatihi bhaktaram prichakam shrotrim tat pada salilam yatha. Tat pada salilam is what? Ganga. Pada salilam, she purifies the upper planet, the central planets and the lower planets. Similarly, any questions about Vasudeva Katha Prashna, Trin Punati, there are three people who get benefited. Purusham Trin Punatihi. Who are they? Bhaktaram, the person asking the question is purified. Bhaktaram is the person who is speaking. Prichakam is the person asking the question. And Shrotrams, those who are listening to it. So these questions are most pleasing to everyone. The one who is posing the question, the one who is supposed to answer, and those who else is there who are able to listen to it. So similarly, Prabhupada in the purport to this verse says that those interested in understanding transcendental subject matters as the goal of life must approach the bona fide spiritual master. The word Prabhupada mentions is must approach. Tasmat gurum prapatyeda jijnasu shreya uttamam. Shabde parach nishnadam brahman upasamashritam. So the question is that he should be the jijnasu shreya. What is the ultimate welfare? Shreya and preya. Our question should be related to shreya. And we should ask those questions to a bona fide spiritual master. That is the means to resolving the conflicts, the problems, the tribulations, the trials of the material world. Which is why all the first limbs of Krishna consciousness that Rupa Goswami says starts with Adho Padashrayam, Sri Krishna Dikshadi Shikshanam, Vishrambena Gror Sevaya, Sadhu Vartman Vartante or Sadhu Margana Gamana, then Sadharma Pricha. Asking questions. What questions? Srila Prabhupada mentions the question that he talks about is asking those questions that will seemingly lead us to a point where we can ask the spiritual master, what should I give up in order to advance in Krishna consciousness? What habits should I give up? What inclinations should I give up? What thoughts should I give up? What desires should I give up in order to advance in Krishna consciousness? That is Sadharma Pricha. It is not over. The next point is Bhoga Dityaga Krishnaya Hetave. If you are now that you have asked those questions to the spiritual master, you should now give up those bad qualities or the bad desires that you have. So, this is like a confirmation. Now, if you can't beat them, join them. In mobiles will anyway happen. So, Sadharma Pricha is followed by this point, Bhoga Dityaga Krishnaya Hetave. So, it is important to ask questions in Krishna consciousness, which are ultimately beneficial for the world in general and for we ourselves, because it helps us remember Krishna, it helps us get closer to Krishna, just like Tasya Sanjanay and Harsha keeps everybody happy. Bhagavad Gita says, but Krishna also smiles when Arjuna first says that I'm completely bewildered. So the spiritual master similarly will smile when we pose some of his questions. He'll say, come on, not again. You're going through the same cycle. How many times should I tell you? So many births you have wasted. But then that is why his Janma Janma Prabhu, he gives Chakudan. And therefore, when we ask question to a spiritually elevated personality, we should be able to follow the instructions also. Because otherwise, I know of people who ask some fantabulous questions which are totally scraping the intellectual top. That's all. Nothing else. Just, it's like something like asking how many steps are there in the Liberty Statue. What difference does it make? So, similarly, even in Krishna consciousness, after coming to Krishna consciousness, we may get into some kind of intellectual titillation for ourselves. Which is okay. Philosophical speculation is permitted. Mental speculation is not permitted. If it's philosophical speculation and it helps us improve our processes. So for sadhakas, it is important to back the questions with the actual performance of those actions that are instructed by advanced Vaishnavas. then the questions are meaningful. Otherwise, let us not waste time on superficial questions. It does not matter that we have to ask questions from Tattva Sandarbha or Ujjvala Nilamani. It can be simple Bhagavad Gita questions. Ask ourselves those questions and see if we have the answers also. It may be nice to have FAQs for our preaching that we put, right? Maybe it will be nice to put FAQs for ourselves in our Krishna consciousness. What do I do when I am left alone? When somebody insults me, how do I feel? When I insult somebody and they respond hurt, how do I feel? Questions to ask our mind, which are actually coming in from the chitta, contaminated consciousness. So, today the one question that we have to ask our consciousness and our mind is, how can I subsume or make subside the needs of my body, and how can I focus more on the requirements of the soul? Because today is Ekadashi, Madhavatiti Bhakati Janani, Jotane Palana Kori. There must be some reason they said Jotane. Some effort also involved. So we have to do that and try and fill our day with more and more Krishna conscious thoughts. And the advantage of this is, the day you chant more rounds, the day you perform more Krishna conscious activities, the next day is even better. If today we chant more rounds, like my Gurmas, His Holiness Gopal Krishna Goswami Maharaj insists, and many spiritual masters do, that on an Ekadashi you're supposed to, in fact in his will it is mentioned, that all disciples should chant 25 rounds on Ekadashis and festival days. So, matter of conjecture, what are the festivals? But we generally assume the festivals are those days when you're fasting. There is a fast required. Those days definitely chant 25 rounds. 25 is, somebody asked Prabhupada this question, 25, on, I think, by me, on Pandava Nirjala Ekadashi. Whether it is Bhima, Arjuna, you have to keep Ekadashi fully every time. And he said that, why 25? Can be 64. You can chant Kirtaniya Sadahari. Whole day you can chant. So I hear that our Acharya Prabhu is also setting an example as an Acharya by chanting. Many devotees do that. Chant, take a target, take a vow and chant more rounds on Ekadashi. And this will help us subside the questions posed by the mind. Because the answer to any question is the Hare Krishna mantra. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. These 4 minutes were the 4 minutes I lost when I joined, after you finished Mangalacharan. Okay, do we have time for questions or we close it? We have questions, comments? Yes, bro. Krishna.
Thank you very much for such a deep class on importance of asking questions, importance of keeping the mind engaged in asking questions, reflecting on the question in connection to Krishna.
That's such a deep description of my shallow class. Thank you. I didn't know I had covered so many things. It's how you look at it, I guess. Thank you.
I had few questions.
I knew something was coming.
One, here you find that Vasudeva is asking a question to Narada Muni. In the 10th canto, 84th chapter, he also happened to ask question to Narada on the theme of karma karmi raha, how the karma will counteract the karma. And now he is asking on how to get the moksha. And here he says that I did not worship Supreme Personality of Godhead. For the moksha, rather, I worshipped him to become the sun. And there in the purport, Prabhupada also makes interesting comment saying that rather than performing so much austerity and penances to get Krishna here as the sun, it's better to go back to Godhead to do Krishna. Now, this purport of Prabhupada has really bewildered me in one sense because we understand that Prabhupada himself struggled so much. He left Vrindavan, he went to West, and it's so much to give her the gift of ISKCON society, which is not different from Krishna, because Prabhupada himself said that Krishna appeared through this movement society. He himself struggled so much to give Krishna in the form of the society, so that we all can practice. So then, what is the point of saying that rather than getting Krishna in this world, we should go back to Godhead, which Prabhupada himself did in that way. So some points from the side.
Thank you for your question, Vasudeva Katha Prashna. It's beneficial because I never thought about this and you're forcing me to think about it. I'm not answering because I know the answer. This is philosophical speculation, what I'm going to give you. But I would reckon that it is in line with what the acharyas are saying. It was in one of the Bhagvatam classes, there was a senior Vaishnava. He had met Prabhupada in 75. He's my senior god brother, but he had originally met Prabhupada in 75, joined the movement. He was in the ashram for 2 years without initiation. And finally, when my spiritual master started initiating in 1982, then he got Diksha from the first batch. Although he joined ISKCON in 75 as a brahmachari. Very, very senior Vaishnava. He's still a brahmachari. So that's 50 years in brahmachari ashram. It's still there. And he asked this question. He didn't ask this question. He made this interesting point. He said the first 50% of your life in Krishna consciousness, you try to go back to Godhead. The next 50% of your life, you try to take others back to Godhead. And to me, that made a lot of profound sense. Because while we say karmanya eva adhikarasya ma phaleshu kadachana, it also is mentioned that vyavasayatmika buddhi rekeha kurunandana. There should be a goal. For those who are sadhakas and preliminary neophytes, it is important to have a certain goal. And the goal is to at least go back to God. Otherwise, why would Prabhupada call that magazine Back to Godhead? He would have said pure love of Godhead. Because it is a visible, tangible goal. On the one hand, you are saying this. On the other hand, you are saying, Iha yasya harer dasya karmana manasagira nikilasya pavastha jivan mukta se uchyate. Then you are saying, Mama janmani janmanishra bhavatat bhakti rahiti kitoi. Try telling that to somebody who doesn't want to give up the sinful habits, sinful habits. If you give them some tangible, I don't want to say it, but some religions give a good temptation of what will happen in the afterlife in order for you to do something in the current life. But the least we can pose is a tangible goal, because anyway it is within Purushartha, so the Jiva can relate to it. Because it is Purushartha, the Jiva can relate to it, and then we take them to the point and say, hey, you know what? You know what's a Purushartha, but there is a Paramartha. You take people to the level where they understand that going back to Godhead is such an important thing, they go for it, and then as they are following the process, they will themselves understand under the direction of a spiritual master that I don't want to go back to Godhead, I want to go wherever my spiritual master wants me to go in order to further the mission. Like my Guru Maharaj told personally to me in his room that I want to die fighting like a soldier on the battlefield. He didn't say that I want to leave my body in Vrindavan, Mayapur, anywhere. He was ISKCON India chairman for 40 years. He would have chosen any of the dhams in India to go and leave his body. He told me specifically that I want to leave dying like a soldier, like Prabhupada, fighting on the battlefield, he said. That's what he said. And he went for the bureau meeting in Dehradun. The last meeting he chaired, even till the very end, he was chairman, and he left his body after that. So, I am 100% sure that he would have gone to where Prabhupada wanted him to go. It is not because he wanted to go where Prabhupada wanted him to go. That also is left to Prabhupada. For any pure devotee, I am not even speaking about my spiritual master as a pure devotee, so my dad is strongest. It's not like that. Any devotee who is following his spiritual master will only look at where my spiritual master would want me to go. The Prabhupada, somebody asked this question to Prabhupada, what if somebody meditates on the spiritual master and leaves his body? And Prabhupada answered by saying he will go to the place where the spiritual master is going. So it is important to have a clear line of sight as to what is our goal. But like we say, it is not like in football, everybody is just kicking at the goal. Somebody is flanking, somebody is passing, somebody is feigning, somebody is running across to connect the cross from across, somebody is throwing the ball from the sidelines. Of course, Kolkata, football example. So that means people are not just hitting at the goal. Once you know the goal and you're clear about the tangibility of the goal, then you will follow the processes perfectly to reach the goal. And when you're following the processes perfectly, it becomes natural for you to develop the understanding that this goal is there, fine, but there's something even beyond. And then the pursuit becomes more important than the capture. The pursuit itself, because bhakti pareshanubhava virakti netrasyat, no? Pareshanubhava virakti is okay. What about bhakti? Bhakti means that the process itself bestows pleasure. Therefore, the devotee will eventually not be concerned about where he is going to. Like Srila Prabhupada said, wherever he goes, the typewriter will go cut, 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 cut. Until the time that understanding is there, we have to get people to come to that level. Therefore, this is stressed. Is that fine? Was that answer as deep as your question? I don't think so.
Thank you, Prabhuji, for explaining Purushartha, Paramartha, and how Bhakti itself is the pleasure in the process. Therefore, we should stick to that. Can I ask one more question, Prabhuji?
I would want you to, but I want to just take 1 minute pause and see if anybody else has a question and then come back to you. Mothers, you have a question? Okay, good. I mean, so I'm not saying, okay, good. If you have a question, ask a question. Okay, good. Then somebody else here has a question? Or you've been the designated representative like Shaunakadi, Rishi? Yeah, go ahead.
Speaking from Ramanujacharya, Narayan is the human being.
Living entity, fundamentally.
Okay, but because
Living entity. Living entity.
Yeah, living entity. Yeah.
I corrected it in the second line when I said society of human beings and then living entities.
Because they are central standardization living entities.
Yes. So. Okay, shall we complete this session? That is my question to you. Srila Prabhupada ki, Mantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Nitai Gauranga Bhagavan ki, Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanande. नहीं हो अपना आदमी है वही बोलेगा ऐसा I have very high inertia of rest. एक जगह बैठूंगा तो उठने का मन ही नहीं करता. Especially when you're push and supporting you.